Hello, my dear students. I am Shaila, Department of Physics, TKM College of Engineering. As per the syllabus of Engineering Physics, the fifth module includes two topics, superconductivity and photonics. Now we have a class on superconductivity. Here, I will tell you about the phenomena of superconductivity, Meissner effect, types of superconductors, BCS theory, high temperature superconductors, and applications of superconductors. Before starting the class, one thing I have to say, don't get confused with the semiconductor and superconductor. Both are entirely different cases. So let us start the class. Okay.
All of you know that electrical resistance is a function of temperature. When the temperature increases, resistivity also increases. At 0 Kelvin, we get the minimum value for resistivity, but it is a non-zero value. The phenomenon of superconductivity was discovered by Kamerlingh Onnes in the year 1911. He was studying the variation of electrical resistance at low temperatures. He observed that when the temperature of mercury decreased to 4.2 Kelvin, its resistivity suddenly dropped to 0. The complete disappearance of electrical resistivity at low temperature is called superconductivity. This phenomena was first observed by Kamerlingh Onnes, and for these low temperature studies he got Nobel Prize in 1930. The material showing this phenomena is known as a superconductor. Here, see the two graphs. In the first graph, the blue curve is for a normal conductor. At 0 Kelvin, resistivity is minimum but a non-zero value. And for the second curve, that is a red one, is for a superconductor. Here we can see that at a temperature Tc, resistivity suddenly dropped to 0. So it is a superconductor. This temperature is called transition or critical temperature. The second graph is for mercury. It is clear that at 4.2 Kelvin, mercury changed to a superconducting state. That is, its critical temperature is 4.2 Kelvin. Now we can see that when we decrease the temperature at a particular temperature, the material changes from normal to superconducting state. This temperature at which the transition is taking place is called critical or transition temperature. We represent this by Tc, capital T suffix small c. And this superconductivity is a reversible process. That is, consider a conductor which is at a temperature below the critical temperature. It is in the superconducting state. Now we increase the temperature. We can see that when the temperature becomes Tc, the material changes to normal state. Now see what is called the Meissner effect. The magnetic properties of superconductors were studied by two scientists, Meissner and Ochsenfeld, in 1933. And when we place a conductor in a magnetic field, lines of force will enter into the specimen. Then decrease the temperature. When the temperature reduced to transition temperature, that is when the material changed to a superconductor, lines of magnetic force start to expel from the specimen. There will be no lines of force inside the specimen below transition temperature. This expulsion of magnetic flux during the transition from normal to superconductor is called Meissner effect. This is the property of a diamagnet. So there are two qualities for a superconductor. First one, the resistivity is zero. Second one, the susceptibility is negative. Or we can say a superconductor should be a perfect conductor as well as a perfect diamagnet. Meissner effect is reversible. That is, when the temperature is less than Tc, there will be no lines of magnetic force inside the specimen. But when we increase the temperature and the temperature becomes the transition temperature, the magnetic line starts entering the specimen. This above the transition temperature, the material will be in the normal state. Now consider a superconductor placed in a magnetic field. Temperature is less than transition temperature. So there will be no lines of magnetic force inside the specimen. Now without changing the temperature, increase the strength of magnetic field. For a sufficient value of magnetic field, we can see that the lines of force starts to enter the specimen. That is, even when the temperature is less than transition temperature, the specimen changes to normal state. This particular magnetic field is called critical magnetic field HC. Its value depends on temperature and has maximum value at 0 Kelvin. And there is an equation connecting the critical magnetic field at any temperature and that at 0 Kelvin. Here in figure 1, the material is placed in a magnetic field and lines of force are entering inside the specimen. For this, either the temperature should be greater than transition temperature or the field should be greater than critical magnetic field HC. But in figure 2, there are no lines of magnetic force inside the specimen. That is, it is in the superconducting state. To maintain this state, temperature should be less than Tc and magnetic field should be less than critical magnetic field. Violation of any one of these two conditions will change the superconducting state to normal state. Now, we can show that superconductors are perfect diamagnets. For a diamagnet, the susceptibility chi is negative. When we place a specimen in a magnetic field, the magnetic flux density B inside it is given by mu0 into H plus M, where H is the strength of the magnetic field, M is the magnetization. Mu0, you know, the permittivity of free space. The susceptibility chi is given by M by H. In a superconductor, we have seen that there will be no lines of force inside, that is B is equal to 0, which means mu0 into H plus M is equal to 0. But mu0 is not 0. H plus M should be 0. That is H is equal to minus M or m by h is a negative quantity. That means the susceptibility is negative and the superconductor is a perfect diamagnet. Okay. Based on the behavior of a superconductor in a magnetic field, there are two types of superconductors, type 1 and type 2. In type 1, there is only one critical magnetic field. It is very sharp. That is below the critical magnetic field Hc, it is in the superconducting state, and above Hc, it is in the normal state. But in type 2, as the magnetic field is increased, when it becomes Hc1, line starts to penetrate the specimen, but the process will be completed at another value Hc2. In between Hc1 and Hc2, the specimen is in a mixed state or vortex state. It is neither superconducting nor normal. Type 2 superconductors are technically more important because there is no sudden change to normal state. The differences between type 1 and type 2 are given in the table. Examples for both types are also given. Here, magnetization is plotted against applied magnetic field for type 1 and type 2 superconductors. The first graph is for type 1 superconductor. Here it is clear that below Hc, the critical magnetic field, the specimen is in the superconducting state, and above Hc, it is in the normal state. The transition is taking place sharply at Hc. There is no mixed state. But in the second graph, at Hc1, lines of magnetic force starts to penetrate and the process is complete only at Hc2. So, below Hc1, the specimen is in the superconducting state. Above Hc2, it is in the normal state. In between Hc1 and Hc2, it is in a mixed state. It is also called vortex state. BCS theory gives a good explanation for superconductivity. This theory was proposed by three scientists, Bardeen, Cooper and Schrieffer in the year 1957. They got Nobel Prize in 1972 for it. According to BCS theory, at low temperatures, an electron moving through the lattice of positive ions gets attracted by it and the lattice displaces slightly. This produces a region of increased positive charge density. Then a second electron is attracted towards it. The two electrons interact each other via lattice. At low temperatures, this interaction can exceed the Coulomb repulsion between electrons. These pairs of electrons with opposite spin formed through lattice vibration are called Cooper pairs. We know that electrons are fermions. Fermions are particles obeying Fermi-Dirac statistics and have half-odd integral spin. These particles are arranged according to Pauli's exclusion principle. That is, only one particle is allowed in one quantum state. But when two electrons form a Cooper pair, a boson is produced with integral spin. Bosons are particles obeying Bose-Einstein statistics. There is no restriction for the number of bosons in a quantum state. so they can move very freely without scattering through the lattice. This is the reason for zero resistance in superconductors. When we increase the temperature, these copper pairs separate into single electrons and the material changes to normal state. For most of the superconductors, the transition temperature is very small. To achieve and maintain this low temperature is very difficult and costly. This is the major limitation in this field. Superconductors with high transition temperatures are called high temperature superconductors. It is preferable to have a superconductor with Tc greater than 77 Kelvin because it is the temperature of liquid nitrogen that we can attain without much difficulty. Researchers are going all over the world to find superconductors with a high transition temperature. The ultimate goal is to develop a superconductor with a room temperature as transition temperature. Generally, superconductors with a transition temperature greater than 20 Kelvin are known as high temperature superconductors. Some examples for high temperature superconductors and their transition temperatures are given. Superconductors have large range of applications in different fields. In medical field, industry, in communication, science, etc. Some of the applications are listed here. Thank you, my dear students, for listening me. Be safe and wish you all the best.